that our residents deserve a council that is professional and conducts our business with full decorum and mutual respect. Every member of this council, as well as every resident and visitor that attends these meetings, deserve the opportunity to speak without interruption or disrespectful condescension. Condescension. We must maintain a professional tone, follow proper procedure, and ensure that differing viewpoints are expressed civilly. Disrespectful conduct, disorderly behavior, or attempts to derail the meeting will not be condoned. Let's stay focused on the work before us and uphold the standard our community expects. Okay. First item up is up for first reading will be ordinance number 2026-03, an ordinance prohibiting gas-fired electric generation facilities utilizing turbines within the village. I assume everyone got the documentation to review. Okay, I'm going to open up for discussion. Mayor, would you like to start off?
Yeah, I came up with this legislation after a phone call we received from P3 of a place that's looking for property down by us to put in one of these to serve a data center that's over near Westfall. And obviously we don't want that. So they did call again, and we told them we were going to be bringing up legislation. You know, and this is, we can make changes to it, adjust it, you know, however you guys need. If you want to issue some other things like solar farms or windmills or anything like that, you know, feel free, and we can modify that.
And I appreciate you actually bringing that up. That was the one thing that had come to mind for me. There was a couple items. One, the wind energy conversion systems, the windmills, and it kind of encompasses everything else. I see we don't have anything, I didn't notice anything in our zoning that permitted that right now, but I would like to add that as an exclusion. Yeah. The one thing that I did come up that I do have a concern with are solar panels. I know that recently there was, in certain zoning districts, that those have been permitted. The one concern I have with those, not the fact of what they do, but actually in some of these districts, because they were used for energy generation for a facility, not on the grid, that still doesn't prohibit necessarily a huge range of these devices. So you can inherently have an industrial, you know, facility utilize these and still have a solar farm to power that. So that's where my concern is, you know, if people have them on their houses or use them residentially, you know, on a basis, but to have a solar farm running specifically an industrial building, I think I would have some pause for that. So I would look to remove that from our permissions in our zoning and actually add that to the prohibition. I don't know what anybody else's thoughts. I'm okay for conversation with that, but that's just where I'm coming from.
So you're wanting to allow no solar, but anywhere but residential?
Well, we currently have some for, there was a 118081.06 for solar panels.
Yeah.
Does have a permission for ground mounted, so specifically it would be that section 2 of that portion for ground mounted solar panel structures, and the permitted zoning districts would be ground mounted for limited manufacturing or planned industrial.
Well, I think when I wrote that, I think the concern about saying all had to go on the roof of the residential is we were trying to, we constantly heard that people want their view, even with berming, so we were trying to keep the heights of the buildings as low as we could to accommodate for that. So we kept hearing that if it's there, we don't want to see it, so we were going to allow the ground mounted but not on top, because that's what the residents asked.
And this isn't specifically for, and thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that. The one that I would have would be in the areas that would be the ground mounted specifically for the limited manufacturing district, planned industrial, and the floodplain district, because those are currently for that area, to not be specifically for industrial.
So then
right?
the
So
residents.
it doesn't exclude the
Sorry.
ground mounted for the, well, there's actually none that actually include for residential.
Yeah, we
So
don't
it's not
allow
permitted
those.
in that
No,
for
we don't allow
ground.
those in
Right.
residential.
Right.
So that's where I was, it
So-
wouldn't exclude roof mounted, is what I'm saying. It would only be for ground.
Okay,
Ground.
well, that's what I'm saying. We had talked about roof mounted and the feedback was, well, that's gonna make the buildings taller and we're gonna be able to see it, you know? So this was specific for a property that's, just, that we already have. And it was, he wanted to put them way in the back. And we were like, we don't want a solar farm, so they're gonna have to be underground. Because we don't want super tall buildings, because we didn't want them seen. Because
Correct.
that's the biggest thing, people didn't want to see it. So that's why we went ground, you know, so it's not seen because that's what the feedback was. I mean, I have not received or heard any feedback otherwise. If you have and that's for the change, then please.
And those, but that just doesn't limit it to that property. So the concern would be you'd still be having solar fields available in any of these districts within in our village. So not
All we
just
have to do is
that
put
one.
we're not allowed solar farms because there's a specific definition for size. So that would take care of all
Then,
that, but
then
my
we probably
concern-
need to go that route. And I think that the concern is having a solar farm specifically for the purpose of, regardless of the location, you know, if there's needs to be a variance at the point of need, then you bring that up. But having, right now, as it reads, you could permit a solar farm for anything in these areas, these zoning districts for that purpose.
No,
I thought we put
well,
something on
first of
solar
all,
farms. We
It,
didn't?
it should read that you can't have it just for sole resale. It has to be.
That's correct. Right,
Okay.
but I agree. But
So-
it doesn't need to be. You'd be utilizing a solar farm for an industrial building or an area.
So
That's
it
what
wouldn't
you'd be
be
doing
resale.
that.
What they were looking at is the one guy was gonna put it on top of his building,
Mhm.
flat, and then he had acreage up by the river. And he was gonna put it back there where nobody could see him, nobody could do anything with him, and that's the reason we wrote the rules
Correct.
the
And,
way
and
it
if,
was.
and if there's any limitations that are needed, that's where I was going through this process when this was sent over, was looking for these items that needs to be considered. There's no limitations on that, is the point. So either we exclude them, or we may need to consider if it's something that's agreed upon to allow them, there needs to be some limitations, because right now, any industrial that comes in, they're gonna see the zoning and say, hey, look, I qualify, I can put a whole, and then you end up building solar field.
Bill,
In
could
whatever-
could we make this a variance for those areas to where, or not a variance, like if you have one building and you wanna use it for something else on the,
Additional use?
yes. Can we do that to where if they wanna have them ground mounted, it's additional use, they have to go through the process?
You can do anything you want with solar panels.
I don't have, like,
I mean, that would close that and make
Right.
it that current council's decision. So if the mindset is, if that ever comes up, no, we want them all on the ground, well, then the current council can make that
Sure.
decision.
yeah,
Would that be?
I don't,
something-
I'm not opposed to that, I just saw that it gives no
absolutely, yeah.
limitations for solar fields specifically for the power generation of an industrial zone.
There are, we passed legislation
Yeah.
Is it,
last year.
I thought
Is
it
there-
was, but
Yeah, or the year
does
before.
it have a limitation that is just
Yeah,
was
there's no,
directed to a
no
different?
solar fields are allowed. That was the reason for the legislation.
Bill, I didn't know the number, so I didn't say it. So I
Yeah.
don't know the number
Yeah,
back up
there's
what I'm
no-
gonna say. I'm
Is
not
there a
gonna say it.
limitation on the, like, amount of, is that what you're looking at, or is that?
Well, I think if I may, Bill, I think Bill said that it would be best for us to not put an amount, because then we can decide, but, and that may, I'm pretty sure that's what he had said. He said it's better to less regulate that than over-regulate that, and.
Okay.
I mean, I took him for, that, you know, that's his specialty.
So I have no problem with, belaying that for now and coming back and revisiting that. That was just a concern that came up, and
So would that be
Sure.
something that would work if it would kind of be removed and put to the bottom where it would be an accessory use, where if they want to do that, it's a whole process, they gotta,
and that, yeah. we can look
I mean,
at
that'd be Bill, would that be the cleanest and easiest way to still allow it if it absolutely is right, and they apply in the council at that time? That way, we're not making a decision for future council.
Isn't that the way we wrote the bill up? That
I
we have
thought,
to vote on it individually?
I thought so,
Yeah.
but
I would have to look back
I'm
at what
pretty
was
sure it's
passed,
in the-
but
Individual.
I thought we had talked about it, but I don't have it in front of me,
Okay.
B, so I can't
That's fine.
negate anything you're saying, and I wouldn't want to anyway.
Sure, no,
the reason for the legislation was not to legislate against homeowners.
Right,
It was to prevent solar farms as there were on
Okay.
23.
okay.
because Bill, I believe your stance was, when you get into the business of telling homeowners what they can and can't do, leave that to the HOA.
Not the HOA, but leave it to the homeowner.
Yeah.
It's their land.
Now,
And that,
one
okay.
point I didn't understand on this though, and to that end is, it wasn't clear to me reading it, I mean, obviously the intention was for large industrial size generation units. But would this also extend down to like home use generators and like,
No,
out on
the
farms
school,
and stuff?
no, absolutely
No,
not, no,
no.
no.
And the piece of legislation before you is one rule, and that one rule is the turbine engines, gas powered. So if you want other legislation on other matters, remember, it's one piece of legislation per. So
Okay.
I would recommend that you look at the existing solar code, look at, who's got the solar farm out there? What jurisdiction was that,
West Falls.
that Alan was worried about?
That's that town, what township is that?
Because they specifically permitted.
Mike, what township is that? Where that solar farm over there by West Fall?
Beats my ass.
Appreciate your help.
Yeah, no, it's specifically permitted out there, so.
So maybe, add a few things to this, then we talk about this in the solar,
Well,
it's also
something that,
yeah,
If we keep it,
would be looked at in a comprehensive
Yeah.
plan. What do you wish to do for home-generated solar power, for commercial, for light industrial, for the existing park out there? We have had people come in and say they want to put solar panels in back of their industrial building to help generate sufficient electric for that. So you have to be careful how much you want to restrict it.
And I hate to be the EMFer in this conversation, but this is probably one that we should make sure is right, because we'll probably wanna waive everything, because this is to protect something that we know is imminent. So we would probably wanna waive and pass as soon as we can and make emergency language so it goes effect immediately, because if we don't, it's my understanding in that 30-day wait period, if they file the paperwork, they're under what it was before.
yeah, that's why I put emergency in,
So
we're
just-
ready.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind, when it
Then-
comes that time, this is one of those health and welfare and safety things.
then I would say we keep that the way it is, not add to it, do subsequent ones as we go forward with the other items. Yep.
So,
Question?
so then when can we vote on that? Not till next meeting?
It would be the
Well,
next one, not during the
yeah,
council.
for
Yep,
reasons.
it is on the agenda for next
Okay,
week.
oh, yeah.
Any other questions on ordinance 2026-03?
Now, everybody's just how it is.
Just how it is.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah.
Everybody,
Okay.
everybody thinks
All right.
that's,
Do we have to declare an emergency for these things, or can we just say like, can we
Can I
make a
explain?
motion to waive
can
the
I explain that to
additional
you?
readings? Sure.
We have to handle it very procedurally. The emergency language means it takes effect at the time it's passed. If we don't pass with emergency language, it's held for 30 days for if somebody wants a writ. Even if we do emergency language, they can still go to the court and say we misused it, and if the court finds them, they can still get a stay. But because this is protect the safety welfare, we know that is one of the two qualifiers, at least, of that language. So this is one that very procedurally to protect the village. And I'm not the attorney, but Bill, over the last 2 years, has unfortunately got me thinking like him.
Mm.
And, am I correct, Bill? Am I explaining that correctly?
Going to law school at night.
All right, I'll move on, if we're good, I'll move on to the next one, ordinance number 2026-04, an ordinance establishing the full-time street laborer for the village of Commercial Point.
I'm confused. We budgeted for this for 2
Yeah,
years.
but we didn't, no, it was part-time.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
part-time.
Right.
When we created the department, we made it a part-time
Okay.
labor and a full-time superintendent.
Yeah.
So I noticed in that legislation when I was doing the budget, hey, this is only a part-time, but we budgeted for full-time.
Okay, I
So,
I
That's
was
the
gonna
only
say, if we
thing.
was paying part-time that kind of.
No, so that's the only thing, it's just making it
Any-
full-time, just paperwork.
Any questions or concerns regarding that? Okay. Next one, resolution 04-2026, a resolution authorizing the Village of Commercial Point to go into contract with B&B Communications for preventative maintenance of outdoor warning sirens and declaring an emergency.
Yes, I had a question. I thought that we were forced to go into the contract under the county with
We
that
were.
wording that was here.
we were,
What's happened there?
that is over.
So,
So we have a new EMA, she's been here maybe 2
correct, yeah,
years.
she's great.
Yes, she
She,
is.
I'm on the committee for something.
Yeah, but they've decided that they are not going to keep their contract. I don't know if there was other issues and I don't know why, but we are now have to go on, we used to have a contract.
Yeah, I was saying, we were on this and had to stop it because they
Right,
said we had to
because
take the county.
The county said we had to go with theirs. Well, now, we're not with the county anymore.
So we can take over again and do
we
it
need
right.
to be protected, yes.
Awesome.
So again, another health and safety
Yeah.
reason why the emergency, so we can get their contract. Okay. Any other questions on that? Any issues? Okay. Next one, resolution number 05-2026, a resolution authorizing and directing the village administrator to enter into an agreement with IMGIS, I knew I was gonna mess that, Group LLC, for geographic information services and support for a period of 3 years and declaring an emergency.
So we have a contract with IMGIS right now. What this is, for those of you that don't know, it's locators. So the guys can go out and they can locate water lines, sewer lines, manholes, taps. It's a program that they use on their daily basis. That contract was only for 3 years. So this is a new contract for that service, plus they're adding an additional work order service. So the price is going up by $3,000. I think the total is $8,000, but it's very well needed out there.
Can we only, is that the moment you can go and lock in a price?
That's what my assumption is, because that's what they have been these last couple times we've renewed is 3 years.
Can you see if we can go to 5?
I can ask.
I mean, if we're willing to at this price, because with the price of that kind of stuff going up as fast as it is, if we can lock in now,
Yeah.
might save us thousands.
Is it
I can ask.
Is it something we can go through this process and maybe supplement, doing a longer one if that's the case, so we're not delaying on that? Would
So what I
that,
would suggest is do your first read tonight.
Okay.
I'll have an answer for you by next Monday night when we're having our next meeting, so you'll
Yeah.
have your second read, you could waive your third reading.
clear,
And I'll
thank
try
you,
to get an updated contract. to you.
thank you. Any other questions on that item? Okay, next one, resolution number 06-2026, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor to enter in an agreement with Civic Plus for a new website service and support.
Yeah, Ezekiel had a question. I felt that I wanted to wait until the meeting to answer for everybody in case anybody else had a question. During the budget meeting, I did tell everybody that we met with three different companies. I did not get a quote from one at all. The other one, we looked at the work and it was basic, like our website. Civic Plus is a company that does municipalities. I mean, government. I mean, what they showed us is just amazing of what we can do. Like, we can have our agendas, we can have click next to it, or they can click on the legislation and read it. They offer a lot. So,
So
So
there
my
is a-
only conversation is why, I understand the basic plan, but I feel like that's putting us behind. Why wouldn't we go with, full package, not the full package Grove City has, because they have stuff that nobody
right,
can
there's
see,
things
but I
that
mean,
we just didn't.
just, it can make it to where even if Paula can't be here, it's okay. Their software takes care of all that, so we wouldn't have to bother her at night all the time to do that. They have to where, quite honestly, we could each sit here with an iPad, and there's a screen, and as we vote, it doesn't show our vote, but it shows we voted. So people sitting here and watching, I mean, they have all of that. Because I've had 3 meetings with Grant. Of course, I didn't know you guys were looking at it. When I was looking at it, I was trying to find out what it was before I brought it. But I've had 3 webinars with Grant that does that side of it. I just feel like starting at the bottom is,
Well, we're not
Put it
starting at the
on.
bottom.
Well,
This is like
you're
the
right.
mid-grade.
Yeah, I
This is the
just-
mid.
all the
Um,
things that I've heard over the last 2 years from both sides of the table is, and I refuse to use the buzzwords, but it's availability so they can get the things whenever they want, and for everybody to be able to watch, to be able to get things immediately. And this software, literally, as soon as we vote on a piece of legislation, within a short time, people can click and they can see it right there, right off the agenda, right off the website. I would rather see money go towards that and us decide we can't afford all that.
Now, Eric, is that software, and I don't disagree with you at all, I think it would be great, is that software that can be integrated into a website? Is that a completely software?
Civic Plus takes
Yeah.
care
Yeah.
of all of it.
That's what I'm saying. Will
Yes.
this take care, I don't disagree with that opportunity, so my question was are you agreeing with that you met with them, or you said you met with Grant, or? what?
No, the grant
Okay.
is who's
Okay,
with Civic Plus.
okay, all right, at first I
So-
thought,
That's
when you
not
said
who we
Grant,
met with.
I
Yeah,
wasn't
they're
familiar, I
just
thought you were
different
talking a
people.
different company, I'm like, wait a second, what am I
Because
missing? Okay, thank you.
They obviously meet with somebody else.
Okay.
You know, whoever but I would rather see, let's go where we would consider even when I first started a drain, let's go there and
Yeah.
let's be on the front of the curve. And if we have to choke back, I'm sure it's just as easy as hitting a button for them to choke us back to our affordability.
I
if
mean,
we
I
realize
can,
it's too
I just
much.
wish that would have come up during the budget meeting, so we could I could have had it all together before the budget was coming up here.
Yeah,
But,
but
yeah, I can do that. So
Ma'am,
let
has the
me-
budget been voted on?
No,
So it can still be changed, so it's not
yeah,
that
yeah,
big a deal.
I'm just saying
Okay.
it would have given me more time to,
Sure.
yeah, I can
I
do
mean, that
that.
sounds great.
Yeah, I
I think that would be great. And
I don't-
my point to you, Ms. Mayor, when I messaged you, it was pertaining more to concerns about our requisitioning process and just not necessarily feeling like I had full visibility and openness if what we were talking about was one vendor that you had hand selected, or if there were multiple vendors that we could look at, or
There
what
were,
the
they didn't
options
send
were.
anything.
Okay.
So, I mean, I met with 3 of them. Well, we met with 3 and Wendy was with us. I mean, I guess the people in the office know what is best rooted for them, as to what we need out of these websites, what works best. You know, eventually we can add on things like paying your ticket online. That's the hopes for the future. But, no, I can ask them for that and see what they come back. I can send it out to you guys this week if it gets it back to me.
Well, if that's the hope for the future, the paying your ticket online, if I'm
No,
understanding.
I'm just saying
Well,
that
no,
as a.
Well, no, I'm saying
Come on now.
with what Eric's saying is just do it all. Just do, right? Is
It also
that, that,
it also
I mean,
depends on the cost, I think.
Well, yeah,
We're not
I
gonna
mean,
spend,
Sure, we
we
don't.
could
Well,
spend tons
You
of money on
could,
this.
and it's, you wanna make sure you're prudent with that, because if you're talking a gap of thousands and thousands of dollars,
Right.
yeah.
now a few $100, if there's something that's reasonable, totally understandable,
Well-
but I think we wanna make sure, and also to find out if we have an opportunity for advancement.
Oh, we can always grow.
And
I mean,
that's-
yeah.
if they don't have it, if you want it, they'll design it.
Right,
within weeks,
but
they
again,
say.
that all
I mean,
costs
Okay,
money,
so
that we really
my
need to make sure
understanding
that.
is you want the whole kit and caboodle to look
Well,
at it,
Yes, not everything they have, but yeah, the meeting.
what you
the-
mentioned, okay.
Yeah,
Because that's how the school board votes.
yeah, and it's,
That's-
they use board docs,
Yeah.
Civic
Yes,
Plus is just
yeah.
one that's more geared for
Yeah.
our side.
Well, yeah, I just mean, but that's how they.
I was gonna say board docs, but then when I saw Civic Plus, when I had to go to a Grove City meeting, I was like, oh, let's not reinvent the wheel.
Okay,
I mean, I think it's important, yes, making things easy for us, but also for our constituents. So maybe when you get, more pricing, like, how do I say it, good, better, best? Because if we put a product out there, if someone is not too tech savvy,
It's
it may
very simple.
make them feel like, oh my gosh, I can't be involved anymore because I don't know how to use my computer, I can't click or that.
it's
Right,
very
there's all
simple.
kind of people in our community, so we just have to keep that in the forefront.
Oh, we
When we're-
did.
when we're- You know what I'm
And
saying?
there's tabs, I mean,
Yeah.
Paul and Wendy Renner, they can account for it, I mean, it's like new residents tab, and everything under here, I mean, it's very user friendly.
So
I
I'm
mean, they
just
do
saying-
this for a living, for municipalities, so they know what kind of triggers, what works best for everyone.
So I'm just saying, instead of like getting everything, like throwing the net out there,
Right.
I'm
You
just
don't
saying,
make
I'm
it
a little
too
bit conservative,
complicated.
yeah.
Right.
You
I
know,
get what
maybe
you're saying.
if there's
Yeah.
good, better, best, maybe we go right in the middle, because if you get everything now, I mean, with technology, next week, something could be outdated, or you need a software upgrade, and then it's gonna cost you money, you know what I mean?
But
So-
I think one thing that when Eric was pointing out, I think the ease of our supporting documents that are available online for the community to kind of follow along and see some of those things that you,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
that
you know
was
where
already,
we are in the
that's already
legislation,
in
things,
here.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
I think those types of things and having those sync up would be
No,
great.
I don't know if these are services that they offer, but I think it would be great too if we could have possibly like some of these files get shared digitally and have access to them virtually rather than relying on our email and
I had,
shared.
I had brought up last year, and I was actually laughed at, that the village should supply an iPad or something
I think
to
that'd
the
be great.
council members. And so we're not having to have these big books of paper. We literally sit like this. Now, all of us would have to remember, everything done on that laptop is now gonna be a public record.
Right.
Sure.
You know, but I just think it would clean everything up. It would force our hand as an administration and council to make sure that tech is up there, because that's now gonna be our, and the reason I said that last year was it's not for me, it's for the future. So if we would happen to get another administration that has only had one job, worked in the future, and, you know, technology isn't important to them, then we have stuff already in place that he has to at least stay in front of what's going on.
Sure.
Is that an item we should put on our next Cal?
I would say so, yes. I think
Okay.
it's
'Cause
something
we don't have it. We don't have it here. I want
multiple
to make sure we
people
give
have
we
thought
have the
about.
appropriate amount of time to flush through
Yeah,
that.
we just
so
need
we
to know before the budget, cause how would that work? That's
Well,
office supplies, so.
We're up for third budget tonight, or third reading
Yeah.
tonight. You could always pass your budget tonight, and then we can move money whenever.
Okay, I thought we could, I didn't think we had to.
Right.
If that's an option, if you guys wanna go down.
I wrote that down for our next agenda.
Okay.
Okay, if we're done with the first reading items, let's go on to the third reading items. The next one is going to be resolution number 01-2026. A resolution approving the major site plan application for Mark Jacob on behalf of IDI Rickenbacker G1 LLC as to Lot G, Lot 9 in the Rickenbacker Exchange, Part 3 development. And it sees that that's been tabled, is
It's
that
gonna
correct?
be tabled until, because they have a variance next week, so they.
Oh,
kind
so
of
they're
want
doing,
to
okay,
have it in
all right.
hand. Yes.
So we're gonna,
It
when
has
it
not
comes
been
up,
tabled, there's been a request to table it.
Well,
Oh,
we'll do that in a
we'll have to go
regular
through,
meeting.
okay.
They're gonna
Alright.
request, sorry.
I've left that on there if there's any questions or anything. Okay. So we'll move on to the next one, resolution number 03-2026, a resolution to make permanent appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the Village Commercial Point, Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31, 2026. That's the budget that we were discussing. So that's what we have coming up. Any questions, anything else that we need to, any considerations for that?
No, I just would
It
like to
changed.
mention, because I was confused my first year, and that's kind of why I just asked that question, is voting on this tonight does not mean we're locked into that. It's just for timing for her to get stuff filed. We can move if we have to, so if you have something, I forgot to say, don't get hung up. Don't beat yourself up for passing something on the way home saying, dang it, I meant we went in to do that.
It just adds more procedure as we go
Yeah.
forward throughout the
It's
year.
just
right?
a yay or nay on a thing that she's already done, whatever those are called. Thank you.
All right, the next one, make sure, well, I'll finish with that one. Next one, ordinance 2025-12, an ordinance to rezone 21.92 acres within the Village of Commercial Point, Ohio, from R3 to Planned Residential District, and adopting the preliminary plan and development standards text for the planned district.
This has also been asked to be tabled along with the 1+ acres. It's going to be asked.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask a stupid new question, cause we tabled, we also last meeting tabled the Mexican restaurant.
Well, no, he.
He
He-
tabled,
you're right.
yeah, that's
He
what I'm saying, it got tabled, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, we
I
tabled
only
it.
corrected you because I know there's a difference if we say it wrong.
Yeah, okay, no, thank you. So, when things get tabled, not us, when they're tabling or request the tabling, how does that come back to us procedurally? So do they just come back like, okay, so if they table something today, can they just come back, because we have a meeting next week, can they just come back next week and say, I want to put it back out there, and it will be back to third reading?
Bill?
Yes, as long as they do it within the timeframes we've established.
Unless in some developments, if they have a different change, if their plans change or we have a different site plan, then they would be required to refile that, is that
Well,
correct?
it's still tabled, it just has to come off the table before you can act on anything in addition to the items that have been placed on the table.
Gotcha, okay.
So think of it as it goes into detention and it stays there until it comes out of detention, and then it's back as originally submitted.
And then we move in accordance if they need to, thank you.
Bill, can I clarify, because I think maybe I'm understanding the question different. So if they come into a meeting and they say we want to take it off the table, are we forced that night to have a third reading, or would it wait till the next meeting to have a third reading?
They have
It
to-
wouldn't be on the agenda.
Yes, they have to notify the office so many days in advance that they wish to take something off the table.
Maybe like 12 or something.
12,
I think it's 11 or 12 days.
Yeah, I think.
So, okay, so in this instance, where we have meetings back-to-back weeks, there is not enough notice to take it off the table. Okay, perfect, thank you.
I thought that's what you were going for, but I just.
It is. It is, I'm just trying to figure,
The mind
trying to
reader
work
down there.
around my,
I've had those
Trying to
questions,
get there.
remember just how long ago?
Okay, so we're finished with the readings, move on to business items. We're gonna circle back to finalize our 2026 meeting dates for council meetings, if you will.
Wait, did we vote to change that? I'm just messing with you.
I did not vote to change it, it came back up. So the suggestions, if I remember correctly, were to add an additional committee of the whole at some point, or there's a couple of different things that came out there. I don't know, and I'll ask anybody, does anybody have an appetite to add an additional day to our monthly calendar? Because if not, we can get rid of that
If
option.
I can just interject.
Yes.
And please do not let this sway, but as everybody will find out after my legislative time in the next meeting, if we do them back to back, there's probably gonna be a while that I will not be able to either attend the CAL or the council meeting. I just will not be able to stay engaged and comfortable with it.
Okay.
So whatever it is, just know that you're agreeing that there's a good chance that I will not be at either one or the other.
Thank you.
And I'm just one, so
No,
it's
okay.
not a big deal, but.
Going back to how we used to do them, I don't know what people's thoughts are on that.
I will say, I don't think that's a horrible idea. It gives us enough time in the cow, and it gives us enough time in the meeting. And I don't know about anyone else, like, I wouldn't wanna agree to something knowing Eric wouldn't be able to be,
Yeah.
available, and I wouldn't wanna do that. So,
Please, don't make a decision for that.
well, no, I'm just
No,
saying,
but
I
it's-
don't want an extra day either. I will
Right.
openly say that. I'm not for an extra day.
But that does, we don't wanna knowingly have one of our council members
Yeah,
not have the
no.
opportunity
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
go through that,
I
if
appreciate
we
that.
can prevent that on the front end.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
since we haven't finalized them, is that something that we would consider? Do we want,
We
like,
did vote on it, so you'd have to amend it.
oh, we did, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
we did
just,
vote
I'm
on
not necessarily partial to going back to how things were exactly before. I like the idea of possibly having the cow after one of our meetings, and just, again, streamlining maybe that second meeting of the month. Get through readings a little bit more quickly, and then leaving more of that time for the cow at the end.
And I will say, I hadn't thought of that until you just said it, but if, Bill, unless I'm thinking completely wrong, then we could really digest with each other in discussion what just happened before we go
Yeah.
home and get ourselves confused.
That is true.
And nobody has to stay unless they want to, because
The problem is you can never tell how long or short a council meeting is going to be.
Okay,
How many public speakers you're gonna have, how much legislation there is,
so if it's long.
what emergency's happening. So if it's long, you're gonna end up in a Cal meeting starting at 9 o'clock.
Not if we call it to order and adjourn it within a minute.
We're
And
still
then-
starting a Cal meeting at 9 o'clock. Just pointing out the
Well,
obvious.
and then what,
you'd
we would
almost- you'd
have a
almost
cow
have-
meeting?
you'd
That'd
almost
be-
have
You don't have to, let's put it this way, you don't have to have a Cal meeting, you can just have 2 regular council meetings
Yeah.
every month, period, end of story.
And I will say, I kind of complained about the same thing when I first came in. And looking and knowing personally, just from being out in the area, what is coming, you guys will want the longest time you can. Because we only have 120 days. And when we have 5 packets like this to go through, and we have 3 zoning variations, and now we got this issue because something broke, you will thank yourself for making the decision now to keep it as slow as you can. If we need to speed it up, call a meeting on a night. We can all come in as long as it's posted, but give yourself enough time, because things like this, they suck as a new person.
Yeah, you mean like having the time to dig into it? Yeah,
And
because
just mentally digest.
that is something actually, like having 4. I mean, I guess you're not actually new. You were on previously.
Yeah, I still.
So I mean, you're fresh, but you're not brand
I
new.
just sat in and absorbed. So.
So, but having 4 people who aren't experienced at looking at stuff like this, you're literally getting through what would normally be 120 days in 60 days or around there. Half the time to take the time to go through it, look at it, and really, or even talk to your a multitude of things before you're making a decision.
You can always have a special meeting, because I know we did that a few times before the council.
Well, and we've had to do it on different days completely.
Well, not
Once or
since I've
twice.
been here,
Yeah,
but
once,
I think.
throughout time.
I mean, yeah.
Listen, if it wasn't supposed to be anything on that day and something has to happen, you do it. There hopefully aren't a lot of things like that, but
So then moving on to find out when we come to bring this up the next meeting, basically 2 things. Leave it as is, as we already have scheduled, and leave it approved, or go back to what it was previously. Are there any other options to I mean, I'm just, those are 2 clear ones. I just want to make sure that we're not missing any other options that we shouldn't
there's
consider.
3, right?
Yeah, I would say the other option would be to trim the second meeting of the month down a little bit, figure out where we can trim the fat out if we're taking legislative reports out, if committee reports don't have
But
anything.
I had
to-
already
you know what I
mentioned
mean?
that.
Like,
And we have to
That's
remember, and what Bill just said, we might think it's a nothing meeting, but the world out yonder,
sure.
with
Yeah.
everybody, anybody that lives anywhere able to talk, we still might have a 2.5-hour meeting at 5 minutes a person. So that's my only concern. We might trim it down on our side, but it's still 3.5 hours.
We
On
couldn't
that.
we couldn't put a limit on public comments for that day, for the second meeting.
That's
I wouldn't tread that line.
I'm gonna be honest, I made
Personally.
a comment like that when I first started, and oh my golly geez. I hope you don't get the hate I did. I was trying to shut everybody up.
So are you gonna, I need to know.
Right, so, option here, we leave it as is. I know that with yours, you're talking about adding a second cow, is that what you're saying afterwards?
No,
or-
he's saying switch them. Like today, instead of doing the cow first, do the meeting first,
So,
then
okay.
after the meeting, do the cow.
And that would be
Which
prepared for the
Eric
next
may
meeting.
not be able to
Yes.
stay for.
Which
Right.
if I'm gonna miss something, I'd rather be something right after a meeting, if that's it, but I'm just, if that works for everybody else and it doesn't add a third
So
day,
you guys are comfortable, Zeke, you're comfortable with having something that would be in 120 days for us to dissect, having maybe 60, having half the time,
well,
having
we
the
still have
meetings
a
that
full
fast.
120 days.
Well, not if you're reading them every.
Yeah.
We can still wait up to 120 days, correct, Bill?
No, you're gonna have a first reading, and then at the next regularly scheduled council
Yeah,
meeting, you're gonna have a second reading.
Yeah, and then,
And then at the next regularly scheduled council meeting, you're gonna have a third reading.
so it'll be cut
But
in
can
half.
we postpone it out to 120
No, you
days if
can't.
we want?
You can't postpone,
Okay.
you can't postpone legislation when you've got a, regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay.
I don't know that there's any, I mean, I don't know that there's any material I've ever received that would take me 45 days or more to digest.
It's not just you though.
But I'm saying, for me
Yeah.
personally, to look
Yeah.
at the materials and understand it, like, I think 45 days is ample time. For me personally.
And I'm not gonna disagree, but I'm just saying, we gotta remember the decisions we make are just for this year, but also it can carry on. That would be my only thing to say to you.
Okay.
Don't
If
set a
we, if we,
Okay.
if we do the
So,
committee of the whole
I-
after the meeting,
I'm okay with keeping the dates that we already have and switching it to 10 minutes after the completion of the regular council meeting.
because we cut the committee of the whole
We,
meeting down to
and then
whatever
we
we
can
want
go,
to do.
we can go and extend if we need to, or do a continuation if we need to do, if there's something that comes up. Thoughts on that? We good?
I'm good.
Okay. Is that something that we might be able to put in a motion in our next, in our,
How are you
Right.
going to handle your agenda for your cow if you think it's gonna change as a result of what comes up in a meeting? Because the agenda for the cow has to be published too.
The cow-
remember?
well, that would be, it would be ahead of time.
Correct?
It-
Wouldn't anything
You can
do-
put in additional business, but,
Right.
yeah,
If there's anything that needs
if
to
the
come up,
worry is about having an open
That's
meeting in
correct.
front of
Right.
everybody,
and that's
then
correct.
just do 2 open
It-
meetings, you don't need a cow, is my point. Because if you're gonna put a cow after a meeting, then it's gonna look like you're meeting after the meeting to talk about things, which is what you just publicly stated.
Yeah.
Now, I'm saying, have a cow, don't have a cow, it's up to you guys, but I wouldn't have both of them on the same night.
I think honestly.
It's for you to decide clearly.
I think honestly, since we can, well, we can't, but since the mayor can control the tone of a council meeting, and I don't know if we can only waive rules for parts of a meeting so we can have more, open kind of discussion. But I mean, Robert's rules can bend for certain things that aren't, open for litigation, I'm sure. So I don't see why we couldn't have one meeting that was like normal and the next one, if we need to waive the rules at that time that the person thinks they need to waive them, make a motion to waive for the time. Bill, is that an option?
Yeah, there's no need to waive rules for a
Okay.
second meeting. You know,
Okay.
I mean, you've already got rules that limit speakers to 5 minutes.
I meant for us to communicate with somebody out there during discussion, because our rules are that there is no back and forth at any time.
Correct.
And if we, instead of calling it a cow, if we wanted to have more like a cow council meeting,
We have in the council, the council agenda, if you looked at it, there is time for back and forth after legislation.
I just meant for like a whole list of things that, so people know.
Well,
So, I'm actually partial to, we already voted on what we currently have. I'm partial to remain it. Like, we've already approved it, unless you guys make a motion and have something in line and you wanna go forward. We already approved it the last time. I'm okay with staying exactly how we approved it, unless we have a consensus, and right now, I don't think we have a consensus for that, to even put it forward. But if you change your mind as we get to the next meeting, then please feel free. But as of right now, it's already approved the way that they're written. Because we can't come to a consensus, then that's my default.
You lost me, dude. What?
We approved the council meetings last time.
So we're just gonna leave it a cow before the meeting?
Cow before the meeting, as it was approved last time.
Okay.
We were gonna readdress it because there was questions that was asked afterwards to make sure. And we had an opportunity to bring it back up. And obviously, there's not a consensus on which way to agree upon. So since we've already agreed upon these dates, I'm okay with just leaving them.
So, but if somebody up here wants to make a motion
They can, then they can make a
otherwise,
motion.
it's okay. The way you said it before, I was like, I don't
No,
care
no.
what you think. If somebody wants to make a motion for one of those three, they
No,
can.
he said,
No, I
he said someone can make a motion at the next meeting, so.
Yeah, we can make a
let's
motion at
move
the
on.
next meeting, so we can move on. So, you're more than welcome to. That's where we're kinda stuck at, though. Okay, the next item, village employee pay scale, we brought that up, the last cow we were talking about. Does anybody have or remember that conversation that we had regarding the pay scale, not necessarily the budget, but that did come up previously about the pay scales that we currently have set?
The one in the pay scale for the police department, I don't see how a sergeant detective can be salary. You're never gonna get anybody to take it. That needs to be an hourly position or just not have it. Because that's a position that can be labor intensive, a lot of hours. And if you have to work with an officer, because a lot of times it's like that, the detective's gonna be the low paying man. He's the one that's gonna have to go through all the training. So I just think to save ourselves from having to do what we've already had to do when we couldn't find somebody to take an hourly or a salary sergeant position, I don't see why now we think we're gonna have somebody that's gonna be more trained and more experienced and be willing to take a pay cut, because I don't know of anywhere else that anyone below lieutenants is a salary job. So I think that needs to be changed, or I don't think the chief is gonna find anybody, and then we're either gonna have legislation right back in front of us, or maybe in 3 years when I'm not here because nobody will take the job.
That's fair.
And I know that's gonna change the numbers, but, I mean, after that, I checked, and there literally still is nobody I can find that has first line supervisor in law enforcement as a salary. That's my one concern.
Eric, I don't know that it would change the numbers, cause there's an hourly rate due for a sergeant position, so it would just be the same.
So we would just change it, so where it said salary, we
If
just change
that's
it.
what counts.
Well, yeah, I didn't know how much of money it would change, but, I mean, it could change because of the overtime versus no overtime, but
The hourly rate.
that's my one concern would be I guess now just reclassify as an hourly employee. So if that's a position that's, be newly created, let's just create it correctly the first time.
Well, this was all advised by talking to the chief, so, but whatever you guys want.
This, are you referring to also when we were talking about how the raises fall and the percentage scale?
Mhm.
Okay, so one of the things I wrote down when we were talking about that, because what we were saying was how Eric brought up that you could just start like 2 days before the raise goes into effect or whatever, and you get the raise. So and we all agreed that's a little, ridiculous. I think we need to put something in that says, if you start on, and we will have to pick a date based off when the raises go into effect. If you start on X day or after, you are not eligible for a raise your first year.
Could we just maybe say you're not eligible for a cost of living raise your first 365 days?
Or yeah.
And that way it's cut and
yeah.
clean cut.
Yeah.
So that will
What
stop.
about their probationary?
I mean, they could get their step
6
raises,
months
not
or a
cost of living.
But it's
Well-
all in together. There's not anything that's separate.
Could we
in
just
what
say,
the
We
rates
talk-
are.
could we just say
6
that until you're stepped out, you don't get any cost of living adjustment?
Well, that's not gonna keep people.
No,
That's the big thing. We
Yeah.
gotta be able to
I mean,
retain
there's like 2 or 3
employees.
steps, right?
No, you're,
but if you're topped out, you have no more stops, so you're
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
punish
Yeah, once
them
you're
by
done,
not
No,
giving
those
them.
people get the raise. That's
That's
what
what
I'm
But
I'm
he's
saying.
just saying they wouldn't get the cost
No,
of
no,
living.
they're
No,
the
he's
ones
saying
that would.
before that they wouldn't get the cost of
No.
living raise, but I don't think you'll keep people
and-
doing
but
that.
their steps probably should be sufficient enough for that. So when you have steps, and those are usually your anchors because you get significant enough raises that aren't flexible with cost of living,
So
right?
we
So you
should,
get a standard 4 or 5% for your steps or whatever is,
make it bigger.
and you make sure that those few first steps are significant enough to make sure they stay. The cost of living is fluctuant based upon legislation, right? So if the steps are consistent and you take a look at those every 2 years or so, right, as the request comes in, and if they are in line with, the area
Yeah.
size villages and cities, then you consider those. But you make those significant enough so you're not fluctuant with the cost of living, because, you know, you could have cost of living be 1%. You could
Yeah,
have it
that's
3%.
true.
It'll
Well, then I
fluctuate,
like
and that's
that.
and
Then
that's
we
where you have those set in place, and they can count on those. You have new employees that can count on those 4 steps that are fair and significant, and they would stay. And then your cost of living would be those who are stepped out, and those can kind of ebb and flow. And I know that we'd mentioned at one point, and we threw this out here as maybe even a potential merit
Right.
at that point,
Yeah.
based on your reviews. And it can be,
So-
you know, yes.
So I'm sorry, so they get those steps regardless of their performance, they're automatically gonna get those steps.
And that's what, every year?
And
How
see-
often is
Every
it?
once a year.
Oh,
So
just
the
once a year.
raises
Okay.
are
Once a
every
year.
You're
year.
saying they wouldn't.
Yeah.
So
get
regardless of
cost
their
of living
performance,
if
so
they're
if we
doing the
tie
steps.
a merit into it, I think that would kind of be better, because if someone is just, you know, an average employee or at barely meet standards, they're getting the same as someone that exceeds standards.
Yes.
So I think it should be fair enough so someone would want to perform to be the best employee they can be for the village.
And I don't know that you'd have to do merits for as raises. You could really just do a one-time, like a merit bonus.
Right,
And
something
it can
like
be
that.
scaled up to, and you could max it out at like 1%, or you can, you know, depends on how they perform, you could do it incrementally. Whether it's 1/4%, 0.5%, 3/4, up to, like, if you're an outstanding, you're here all the time, you don't met, and your supervisor thinks, hey, look, I can't get a better employee than you, so I'm gonna max that out, okay. I think, you know, if that's something that, would
Yeah, just
would wanna
something
be
like
considered,
that,
right?
because
Because
that
you wanna
would be
be,
an
fair- you wanna
incentive for
keep your
someone to stay,
employees,
too.
we want good employees for our residents. People will show up, you want them to wanna come here, we wanna be fair, we wanna make sure that, we provide them with, you know, competitive wages.
They all come with written merit or reviews.
It would have
yeah,
to be,
I thought
it would
we
have to be
agreed on
written in the
that.
reviews, they would have to be reviewed. And that would have to also be those who are already stepped out, right? So that would be something that, if you're in your steps are just to make sure you get solid,
But you should still get reviewed, right?
absolutely
you
everyone,
still
yes,
get
you still get
reviewed.
reviewed, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then possibly that review could be where they get that additional merit for, based on performance.
If that's,
something
that,
we-
again, that's just for
Yeah.
consideration if we wanna go that route.
So essentially, we need to go back through and look at our steps and reevaluate maybe our.
And I don't know that it's something, is it something we have that we could still do this year to put that in place? Is
We'd
that
have
correct?
until May, correct?
Till
So
May?
you've already approved the wages for 2026.
Right.
When you approve the employee guideline book.
Correct.
If you want to make changes to those,
For
we can do that, we would just amend the employee guideline book. However, I have to know that prior to the very first paycheck in May, because that's when the
Okay.
raises hit.
So May
No,
1st,
no,
so
Are one of you guys gonna take
yeah, so the end of
charge
April,
to
we need to be
create this?
voting on it.
What you want?
Yeah, Dee said he would, right?
What's that?
You do it.
Are you gonna create this chart?
I'll put, well, I can put something together,
Okay.
and I'll touch base with you, and we'll see if it makes sense,
Perfect.
and then we can throw that out as, you know, discussion or something, okay,
That works.
okay,
Okay.
yes. Next one, comprehensive plan discussion of applicants. Mayor, is that something you wanted to come through to get?
Just kind of, you know, I've had a couple of emails from people, you know, where are we at in the process? So just kind of wanting to know, I know, Dustin, you mentioned maybe sending a list of things that we want from each one to get a price from them, or, but, you know, I think I just need some ideas of what you guys want in this comprehensive plan to send out to all 3 of them, so that we can all be on a level playing field, so that's just where we're at.
I thought for the fairness of the process, and I sent the mayor some ideas and thoughts of where I thought would be good, that would be included, what our outcome of the product would be. It would be fair to provide that, what we want, to the vendors, and that way they can provide us a quote or a, that's equal, sealed. That way we can look to make sure if it's equal requests, what we're asking for them and what their associated costs would be to us. And if the costs were relatively equal, we would then have to decide, if it wasn't just cost, if there was anything else that we had to decide. If the costs were extremely different for the same are then we can go from that point. So I don't know, that's where I
I'm
think,
wondering if we need to decide as a panel, are we looking at it as a qualitative evaluation or a quantitative evaluation? because if we want the best quality, it may not be the best price, and vice versa. So I just don't know if everybody has decided which one is it. Do we want the best quality or do we want the best price?
And I think that's a good point, because I've been going back and forth.
Yeah,
The same
and I'll be
thing.
honest with you, where my head is, it's about quality.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say,
I
it's
mean,
the
because I'm
same
gonna
for
be honest
me.
with you, the
I'm
best
not,
price
yeah.
is gonna be the person that the township went with. And quite honestly, I don't think that they're experienced enough to do what we need. So the best price wouldn't necessarily best qualify. So I think if we're looking for quality versus quantity, then we should evaluate it that way and base it on the company and what they have already done.
Then I totally agree with that, because that's where I
Yeah.
came from, is if you provide them what we want, hey, this is what we want. We provide them, and that's what I'm saying, then we find out, hey, yes, we can provide everything that's here, look at the cost, and then if the costs aren't the final deciding factor, because, you know, we still need to be prudent on what we spend, right?
Right.
If one is an outlier, it's way below, like, that could be something that we qualitatively look at. Hey, look, what are we getting here? So you raised a really good point, that we can do a comparison between those. But I think not understanding or not giving them all equal of what we want is not fair.
Well,
So-
I agree with that. My only issue is we have been talking with one or two of these guys for a long time. And if we keep pushing it off, then you know what, it's gonna be another 2026 and this isn't gonna be done.
Correct.
It's gonna push it into 2027.
Right.
I mean, I'm not trying to push one way or the other, but
I agree that a decision needs to be made within the next 90 days, I would say, if we're having meetings the way we're having, probably less. I mean, we're not, next agenda item, another development. I mean,
it's coming.
why are we gonna spend the money for a comprehensive plan if we're just gonna continue to not make a comprehensive plan and pay people to do something for us that we're just still gonna be like, you know what, for whatever your plan is, guess what, we're still just going on like we didn't pay for this. So I think it needs to be done swiftly, and I am for quality. The price is important, but right now I think the future of our village is more important.
And I agree, and we have a diligence to everyone that we serve to make sure that we have the best comprehensive plan for commercial point.
Yep.
So, Ms. Muir, what date would you like for us to give that information back to you?
I'd like by the end of the week,
And
Okay.
if that's
End of the week.
feasible.
Okay.
Did you not receive it from everybody? Because I know I
No,
provided it
I didn't
to you
receive
as
it
well.
from everyone, no.
Okay.
And I am not going to submit because they all know what I gave them last time. So that would just be what you guys have probably already seen. So it really wouldn't do any good because you'd get the same thing. It wouldn't be categorized different to what the five of you, it would just be just me again. So
Well, it'd be good to have it comprehensively, so all three vendors could get it simultaneously. So we
Just
all
resend
together,
your
so
email.
just resend.
Just
it's been, I'll find it.
Okay.
yeah, just
Yeah,
just
we-
forward it.
Brandon, do you have the email that I originally sent you about it? The
Oh,
Okay.
send it back to
If you
him.
Send it
send it
back.
back to me so I can
Okay.
send it out, please, thank you.
All right, we're approaching, Mayor, do you wanna touch base on the final item that we
Yeah,
have
real
under
quick.
business?
Dave and I, we were approached by, Wendy Sizemore, Mike Struckman, about Struckman Farms. Dave and I met with them. They just wanted to know, they understand it's new administration, new council members. They just wanna know what we want there. Do we want residential? Do we want commercial? Do we want something else? They understand that there are no utilities that are gonna be available for them, and they understand that they would have to work with administration and council if things need to be upgraded or done. They understand that. So I'm just trying to I'm not one way or another. I'm just asking you guys what you want. If you have if you're open to anything, because we know it's gonna be something someday.
Well, I think
So
we need a
just kind of-
comprehensive plan to help us with that.
So,
Well,
We-
we have a map.
Well-
that we all came up with, and Dustin was a key player in that. I mean, we can look at the map, but
It's 7:00 now,
Okay.
so, I
Alright.
mean, just kinda think about it. If you have some ideas, please email me. We can bring it up during additional items if anybody thinks of something, so, yeah.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?